Okay, so to repeat that, this is me trying to share some comments on some scenes. I tried it before, but I didn't hit record. So that didn't record. So I'm do it again. I might do it a little more quickly just because I just spent 30 minutes talking to myself. But I'm determined to try and do this. So then I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to share the screen. And where am I? Okay. All right. God, I hate this stuff. Okay. I think I'm doing everything right now. I'm recording, I'm sharing. So the issue of whiteness, the opening scene, we get the hum of the car, literally creating a kind of white noise, a nod to Don DeLillo, but the same kind of double meaning of that whiteness is a steady noise. It's a steady noise protecting one from the awareness that it isn't anything in itself. It is a strategy for naturalizing privilege. And it only works if other people see your whiteness, but there is no way to see whiteness. It's a kind of collective delusion. Nobody's actually white. Carol White is as white as you can possibly be, and she's still not white because nobody is. And where she starts breaking down so much is that she doesn't have anything else to do except masquerade as white. Even her girlfriends seem to have other, I'm suing my contractor, says one friend after mentioning that her brother has died of AIDS. And AIDS is floating over this movie. It was shot in 94, but set in 1987, the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. The friend's brother probably died of AIDS, but they're covering it up. And then she changes the subject. Did you see the den? And she says, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm suing the contractor. Don't even get me started. And then they're off talking about other inconsequential things again. Peter, who runs Wrenwood, also has AIDS and has come up with this philosophy that only you can make you sick, which he seems to impose pretty aggressively on the other people of Wrenwood. He fails with Nell, who says she wants to get a gun and shoot everybody. And he says, that's what makes you sick, put your gun away. But it isn't. Charlotte uses her gun when she says to her mother, you didn't want to have me. I didn't want to be born. It's been a disaster from the start. And she sort of shoots and kills her mother, at least psychologically. And that was a move toward cure. So when Peter will later say, put your gun away, that's to stay unarmed in the face of this. So what we're looking at now is a still of her returning home. She's looking at her mail. We'd seen a truck show up, and any kind of intrusion to this white enclave, this white gated community, is immediately checked out to see if it's authorized. And so she says, maybe it's the couch. And because when Rory does his essay about Blacks are invading neighborhoods, this is a silver truck and it's bringing a couch, so it's been authorized. But inexplicably, and it's kind of brilliant of Haynes, it's a black couch. And it's just it's almost like a malicious reminder, not just to Carol and her world, but to America itself. Blackness, slavery, foundational origins. When she goes to complain about the couch, they said, well, it says black on your original order, which sounds more like the original order of America. And she says, well, I can't have ordered it. It doesn't go with anything that we have. So she's almost saying, like, how could I have made a mistake like that? My whole point is to keep this white noise humming. Why would I order something that disrupts that? But she might have. Somebody did. Somebody put down black. And even though she insists it was teal, and eventually that will get corrected. But this is kind of a horror movie shot where, the way she comes in and we're showing her reaction. And then we get the counter shot. You'd expect a dead body bleeding out on the carpet or something. And she just seems horrified, and she's got to get this couch out. And she calls immediately for Fulvia, who's clearly like, whatever, white people get weirder every day.
I need to let you know while I was gone.
And there she stops. And she's got her magazine with this super white baby on it.
Oh my God.
And this rapid cut. So the blackness, I don't think it looks so out of place, but I can see on another level it is. I mean, everything is pastel, the teal vase, the light blue walls, the white curtain, the white centerpiece on the coffee table, the white carpet. Yeah, so it does. I find it kind of refreshing, but I can understand why she's appalled from her perspective.
No, Mrs. No teléfono. Is this what they delivered?
This is an odd question. Like, how could it not be? It's there. I love that moment because it's almost like this can't be here. It just can't be possible. And in some ways, this is also was the initial response to AIDS. Like there can't be a sexual disease that is affecting everybody. This must be a gay disease. And maybe, you know, according to some people, it's a comment on homosexuality being quote unquote wrong. But when AIDS became an STD, like it clearly was like any other, and you could get it if you were white, you could get it from a blood transfusion and so on. There was that same disbelief, like this can't be here. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense when we're not going to see it. Like, is this what they delivered? Obviously it's what they delivered. That's an interesting comment about the symbolic order. She's like, how could this have gotten through this symbolic order? We don't have anything that goes with it. Everything goes with it. This is the great subtext of this of American wealth. And notice her white shoes.
We did not order black. This is not what we ordered.
No, it's interesting that she wants Fulvia as the audience here. It's not, you know, what does she expect Fulvia to say? And this is the most active we will see Carol in the whole movie. She goes right to the phone and immediately makes an order. This threatens everything. Notice this mirror is not particularly functional as something that would actually reflect yourself back to yourself.
Yes, in Sherman Oaks. May I have the number for Nelson's on Riverside, please?
And then this medium shot certainly gives full to the white curtain and the white blowing hair, which he's supposed to embody in some ways, the beautiful white woman, and yet this against this background of black.
I believe him. Yeah, thank you. Yes, may I have the shipping or delivery department? Thank you.
Fulvia seems to know what her role is here in some strange ways. Is just stand there. We'll see something similar with Peter's African-American attendant. She's not there. She's not at Renwood because she's collapsing. She may even be Peter's, even though he has AIDS. There's some implication that she's a lover or an attendant of his as well. But she's also recognized, the woman at Renwood is recognizable as the Aunt Jemima character in so many 1940s movies, a kind of strong Black woman who comes from the outside. Fulvia too, she has strength. She comes in, she works here all day. She has her own family somewhere else. Carol walks around all day trying to figure out what she should do other than just represent. So apparently either someone hung up on her or something like that. She didn't get through to shipping. And later she'll go to the actual place and tell them, you know, this can't be right. I didn't order this. I want to show you briefly, jump to how Peter tries to reassert this need to generate whiteness from within, even though it's a myth. And this is where he's talking to one of the women who asks her why she got sick, and let's go to the beginning of it. No, yeah, I wanted to show both actually. What I want you to notice when he turns to the woman here, and here's the helper, the black helper. She's almost like the couch, like she's the background and she's there, but she's not. He doesn't ask her, "How did you get sick?" But what I want you to notice when this woman answers the question, how much he leads her into the answers, that she keeps trying to convince herself they're coming from her, but they're really her realizing what she has to say to him. And she looks very puzzled and unhappy. And then with the red-haired woman, something similar will occur, and she'll even burst out crying after he's moved on from her, and he won't go back. Now, this is something that Haynes was, it's a very thin line here, because Peter is the Jackwith character, the Ricky Fitz character, the Cheng Huan character, but like everything in this melodrama, he's just a reinscriptor. He's sending them back into the trauma that's at the heart of their suffering. Arguably Jackwith's doing that too, but the melodrama works better in Now Voyager. It's allowed to perform its function, where Jackwith shows Charlotte to an elsewhere. He shows her an exit out the door from the symbolic order. Peter's just sending them back into the symbolic order through a back door. Like, this is your fault. Straighten, figure it out. Nobody did this to you. But a lot was done. I mean, in their case, there's an implication of sexual abuse. With Carol, we don't know. It certainly wouldn't come as a surprise to me, given her reflexive flinching from any physical contact. But watch how this plays out.
Self-hatred. Okay, thanks to you. Hello, Joyce.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Joyce, what do you think was behind your illness? Why did you become sick?
I believe that I made myself sick after my son got sick, because I was just, well, you just get so eaten up with guilt, really. Because I felt that I had done it to him. I mean, I was the one who put him in that school. I put him in that environment.
You were punishing yourself.
Yeah.
Notice the long duration of both Haynes and the actress. She's just she's thinking. It's not exactly where she's going, but it's the only direction he's allowing. I think the crying, in both in this case and in the case of the red-haired woman, is a sense of, I'm all alone. This helper, in the same way that Charlotte will see you if you appear as she needs you to be, and if you don't, you disappear. And I think this woman is struggling with that. If she doesn't go along with the gaze, Peter's gaze, he will look away. He will stop seeing her, and he won't look back. And that happens to the red-haired woman who is crying, but he won't look back at her because he realizes that her crying, just like this crying, and now he's going to move on. He kind of goes around the circle, breaking people down. And when the movie was shown at Redford Sundance, there were a lot of people trying to nominate Peter as that somehow he will help these people. But all the evidence, I think that surprised Haynes actually. There's a husband who killed himself. Carol seems to be retreating into a worse and worse position. These people seem to be getting systematically re-traumatized. So he reinserted a 45-second clip that he hadn't put in the clip that he showed at Sundance, and it's the clip where she is walking with Carol's walking with her husband, and he sees a big giant house on the hill, and he says, "Whose house is that?" And she says, "Oh, that's Peter's." And it's massive. It's like a house from Now Voyager, and I think Haynes felt like he needed to point out that neither Peter nor his African-American helper are patients at Redwood. He doesn't live in Redwood. He claims to be environmentally sensitive, but he has what looks like a 8-bedroom house. He's making a lot of money, and that not necessarily means that he's an indifferent con artist. I think he's got quite an ego in a way, and I think he does believe what he's saying. He does think it helps, but he also ignores all the evidence that that he's just entrapping these people further.
Marilyn?
I was deeply wounded as a child and had completely blocked it out for years, and then suddenly became very ill.
Why do you think?
Maybe to let myself know something was wrong.
Okay. And
Now, notice how he builds on it and uses the use of his finger pointing and everything else. I think, okay, that's wrong, but it'll allow me to tell you how you should think. And I think this actress, you can see she's tolerating this. She doesn't seem caught up in it. And then there are lots of moments where she looks sort of wary and sort of like, yeah, that's what we do here. But she's not buying it. He doesn't ask her, obviously, the same question.
the person who hurt you the most.
It was me.
I mean, the way he leads her on is kind of obnoxious. Person who hurt you most, fill in the blank. Me, for not forgiving my abuser. And she has to fill in the blanks if she wants to stay in his presumably benevolent gaze.
Not forgiving him.
Okay.
You can see her sort of collapsing as she says this, because something unforgivable was done to her, probably by an abuser who never apologized. And she may need to, she might need to forgive herself, but why him? That in a way that seems to reinstate the patriarchy, that when the patriarchy abuses and wounds you, you're not going to get better until you accept and forgive the patriarchy, because the patriarchy can't be wrong. So whatever it does to you, somehow you brought it on, and you need to own that and then apologize. It's very debilitating.
Thank you, Marilyn. Carol.
Carol's, of
Would you
course,
like to
not,
respond?
he can't work with Carol yet.
Okay. We don't want to force anyone. Nell.
What?
Nell's not buying it. She's hanging on to her anger, and she's going to state that clearly in a moment. And Renwood, if Renwood helps her, it's probably going to be on her terms. Like it'll be but I don't. She's not signing up for this self-blaming.
Would you like to take part?
What is the question?
The question is, why did you become sick?
First, I got sick, and my husband thought I was crazy. And then he got sick the same way.
What was happening in your life around the time that you first, how were you feeling when you first got sick?
That's the breakdown of the woman you just spoke to.
I just wanted to get a gun and blow off the heads of everyone who got me like this.
Now, nobody out there made you sick. You know that.
So here he has to
Person
get
making it-
pretty come out in the open, and he can't really allow this to stand if his formula is going to be consistently applied. So all these things of that, and that's true, isn't it? And does anyone have a problem with that? It's kind of like the patriarch at the dinner table, sort of pretending that it's an open and free discussion and just closing it down at the point where his own point of view is dominant.
Sick as you, right? Whatever the sickness, if our immune system is damaged, it's because we have allowed it to be through exactly the kind of anger that you're showing us now. Does that make sense? Does anybody have a problem with that?
I think quite a few people
Which is
do.
why you need to remember your affirmations and figure out how to love Nell a lot more. And even Nell's disease. Put that gun of yours away. Sometimes all I see is the hatred and frailty. People's cruelty to one another, cruelty to themselves. And I realize how lucky I am. How blessed.
This is one of the most disturbing characters that Renwood. And okay, so that speech didn't make any sense. How lucky I am. And notice how it's almost an imitation of Lester's voiceover. Sometimes I look around me and then I see the beauty of everything, and then I let it flow through me and I let it go. And then I realize I'm, and it works for them in American Beauty because it's presented on a sort of transcendent plane. But Haynes cuts immediately from that kind of lame speech of his to, well, first of all, to the guy in the woods lurching, which is a real denunciation of what Peter's saying, and then to Carol, who's getting sicker and sicker. You can see the rash on her forehead, and this, she hasn't even been put through the process yet of blaming herself for what she's going through, which will, accelerate it further. And it's very chilling that she goes into that ceramic igloo, which is available because the last person to do it killed themselves. And while the movie doesn't, insist on that, it's very scary. She really needs help. Maybe that guy who kind of likes her, who arranged her birthday. And notice when she gives her halting post-birthday speech, it's a kind of incoherent collage of Peter's little sound bites. So she's already flailing and starting to piece together the phrases that she's supposed to own. And when I go to the igloo scene, there might be a window in this thing. I'm not sure that it's dark. We see it from the outside, but you talk about windows and doors and stairs and mirrors. The only thing in this place is a single mirror. There's no architecture. There's nothing for the camera to visually use to suggest the possibilities of stepping outside the symbolic order that imprisons your imaginary and therefore fixes your reality as a kind of trapped corner of the real. And that's what she's retreating into, a smaller and smaller corner of the real, since she's not really getting any help. You can't shift your reality without shifting your symbolic order. Jackworth shifts the symbolic order by taking on the mother. Ricky Fitz shifts it by seeing things that nobody else sees. Same with Cheng Huan. So, but Peter acts like that. Like, I look around me and I see, and doesn't say What is it? Why is he lucky? As he looks around and sees all the cruelty and so on, that he doesn't really talk that through. So finally, we get a mirror scene. You want to remember the mirror scene where Charlotte looks at her reflection on the boat when she's dressed in Miss Beauchamp's clothes, which is a partway movement toward her transformation. The screen grab that one of you guys got of Angela after the shot, you hear there is heard by her, and she's actually looking at herself in the reflection. And part of the mirror seems to be where you either demonstrate a shift in a symbolic order that's permitted a realignment of reality, or failure of that. And I think that we see a failure, and I'm going to show this last minute, because there's nothing else there. She's in a perpetual loop, which keeps the symbolic order intact. I mean, she will not challenge the emptiness of whiteness, and the need to perpetuate whiteness despite its emptiness is such that it's willing to in a way sacrifice individuals who would otherwise begin to push back against it. The movie before this Todd Haynes made was called The Karen Carpenter Story, where he told the story of the death by anorexia of a very well-known 1970s singer whose very white music, so to speak, pushed back against the incursion of Black music, rock and roll, which had kind of crossed the Black-white barrier via Chuck Berry and then Elvis Presley, and then definitively the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. It was actually the so-called British invasion, where American blues was brought back to America via England in a domesticated form which isn't to take away from the talents of those groups, which were considerable, but their own devotion. I mean, the Rolling Stones in the early days, they insisted they wouldn't appear on a TV show unless they would also feature a Black singer, because they knew that they were bluesmen. They went to see Chess Records in Chicago in their first visit to the States. And so there was a kind of acknowledgement that they were aware of what their musical tradition was coming from. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. The breathing canned air is emblematic of a lot that's going on in this movie, that there can be no reality unless it's been prepared. And notice how different Renwood is from Cascade, where the symbolic order that Charlotte flees is not really allowed to pertain at Cascade, whereas here they're being punished further. And there's an interesting mention of the yellow wallpaper at one point, where she remembers her room had yellow wallpaper, which was a story by Charlotte Gilman Perkins, about a woman who goes mad in a room with yellow wallpaper. She's trying to say, I love you. Can't say it at first. And I want you to particularly notice the long duration after the last time she says, I love you. And then it goes without warning, so to speak, to black. Notice too, the music drumming in the background, very, very subtle, but similar to the opening of the movie. So that was about 11 seconds. And that's a close-up, finally. Whereas the camera keeps you way back from Carol. The whole movie, she's lost in these vast rooms, and things are shot from across the street when she's talking to her husband, which kind of defies typical melodrama, which strives for intimacy. And the fact that this cuts to black is also one's reminded those black couches that the price that Carol is paying for continuing to shore up this assumption of whiteness as a naturalization of privilege. Okay, well, I sort of did this twice. The first time I didn't record it. I hope it recorded this time. I'll check it out. But in any event, I will look forward to show active speaker video. Seeing you guys Monday at 7. Okay, bye for now.